يقول راجي عفو رب سامعي محمد بن الجزري الشافعي: الحمد لله وصلى الله على نبيه ومصطفاه محمد وآله وصحبه ومقرئ القرآن مع محبه. وبعد إن هذه مقدمة فيما على قارئه أن يعلمه، إذ واجب عليهم محتم قبل الشروع أولا أن يعلموا مخارج الحروف والصفات ليلفظوا بأفصح اللغات، محرر التجويد والمواقف وما الذي رسم في المصاحف.
أفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. Allah teach us what benefit us, increase us in knowledge and good morals and in good deeds, ya Rabbi. So we're still on Aljazariyya, and this is class 57. By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, we're still commenting on or explaining line 28. لأنه به الإله أنزل وهكذا منه إلينا وصلا. So we said learning tajweed is mandatory, particularly the rules that change the meaning if not applied. Okay, that's the summary of that line. Learning them is mandatory. Why? لأنه به الإله أنزل, because Allah revealed it with it. Allah revealed the Quran with tajweed. And it's unfortunate that you hear some students, and maybe sometimes some teachers, they say, you don't have now to apply tajweed, you just read. There is no Quran without tajweed. When you say tajweed, means Quran, and Quran means tajweed, means with tajweed. Okay? So, لأنه به الإله أنزل وهكذا, and this is منه إلينا وصلا. This is how it reached us from him subhanahu wa ta'ala through Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to the Sahaba, to the Tabi'een, to their students, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us in this time that we are still having that connection. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also help you also to get the honor, to get enrolled, or to be part of those noble and blessed chains. So we have found that the Quran, the Holy Quran, has been preserved. And always when you do the slides, I told you, whenever you mention the Quran, and not only in the slides, every time you mention the word Quran, say the Holy Quran, because it's the only holy book that is left, that is preserved, that has been preserved. So always say the Holy Quran. And whenever you mention the word Allah in the slides or elsewhere, say Subhanahu wa ta'ala, say Almighty Allah, say something, not just Allah, okay? And whenever you mention, of course, the name of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and write sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the Holy Quran has been preserved in two ways. The first way is what? Which is the main way, is what? The oral transmission. And subhanAllah, this way is, you can see it from the name of this blessed book. Move a little bit more. Yeah. You can see this way from the name of the Quran. If you remember, what does Quran mean in the language? فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ, means فَاتَّبِعْ قِرَاءَتَهُ. Literally, the word Quran in this ayah means reading. When we read it, فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ means when Sayyidina Jibreel reads it. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ, when Jibreel reads it. فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ, follow its reading. Follow his reading. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he was in the beginning of the revelation, he was very, very eager to repeat it, so that he was afraid to memorize it, to forget it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the guarantee and told him not to worry, and told him just فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانَهُ. or the ayah before that, إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا جَمْعَهُ وَقُرْآنَهُ. Right? إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا جَمْعَهُ. It's upon us to compile it for you and to read it for you. إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا جَمْعَهُ وَقُرْآنَهُ. See? قُرْآنَهُ means قِرَاءَتَهُ, means it's reading. It's upon us to reading. So فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ, when the angel is reading it, فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ, just follow its reading. So Al-Quran means what, Ya Sheikh? Of course we explained that in details when we talked about the Quran and the definition of the Quran, which is something every one of you should know. So if someone asks you, what does the Quran mean? What does Quran mean? The word Quran. Now if you ask them what does Bible mean, they have no idea. But for you, you have to know what does Quran mean, the word Quran. So the word Quran means the reading. But focus with me, that's literal meaning. But so the Arabs, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, used this word, which means the reading, for the Quran. And the Arabs, they do that also in Arabic. That is done. They're using the masdar. They're using the masdar to name something. So the Quran is not the reading, it is the read. You understand? It is the thing that is being read. But when something is very important and it's all about reading, you can name the thing with the masdar, with the gerund, if you like. The gerund, right? So the Quran is the read, is the recited, right? So when we're going to tell people, we're not going to say it means the reading. Quran means the read, the recited, the one that is being recited so much. And that is the main way in which the Holy Quran was transferred, is the oral transmission. Tamam? So from its name, it's maqru'. So Quran means what? Al-maqru', the read. Al-matlu', the recited. The one that is being recited, that is recited a lot, the one that is read a lot, etc. Okay. So Al-Quran means what?
The recited?
The recited, or the read. In Arabic, Al-Quran is Al-Maqru'. That's one of the meanings, guys. By the way, if you review the meanings, you will also find that Al-Quran means Al-Majmu', the compiled, because it was also compiled. And look at the إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا جَمْعَهُ وَقُرْآنَهُ. It's upon us to compile it and to read it to you. SubhanAllah. The other thing is, Al-Quran is Al-Kitab. Once you open the Quran, ya sister, what do you read? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. This is the book. And kitab means, who knows? Kitab means maktub. Kitab means maktub. It's the written one. So from its name also, you can find that it has been written from the first time. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. This is the book. لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There's no doubt in it. There's no doubt that it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's from the Creator. And by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, He subhanahu wa ta'ala provided or assigned great people who had far sight. The Khulafa Rashidin, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. They had far sight. So Allah blessed them that they prophesied, if you like, what might happen. So they took all those precautions. They recorded the Quran, they compiled it, then they made copies, they standardized it. Sayyidina Uthman, he burnt all the other copies. He made a standard copy, he subread it, and he sent the Qurra with it. All this is from who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this to fulfill His promise. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. You will never ever even, you cannot even compare this book to any other book. You cannot. You cannot compare it to the other religious books of other people, because they never got such a type of care and preservation that the Quran has gotten. Alhamdulillah. So, radiallahu anhum, their methods give the best results, And alhamdulillah, the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as always, it will be fulfilled. And all the surprises, all the problems, all the disasters that afflicted the Muslim world over history. Imagine, you know, the Tatar and Mughal, those very aggressive, barbaric armies that invaded the Muslim world at a point of the time, and you know, the Crusaders as well, all those occupiers, colonizers, aggressors, etc., etc. They were never able to change the Quran, because it is maqru and it is maktub. Because of the way the Sahaba radiallahu anhum did, because of the care that Muslims give to their holy book, it has been preserved. And now, of course, the masahif, as we mentioned last time, we have received the Quran the same way it was written in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Then we mentioned how the Muslims, they added the dots for the letters. And see, Arabic without Islam is nothing. Some of the Western Orientalists and researchers, he said, if Latin had a book like the Quran, it would have been preserved, just like Arabic has been preserved. Without the Quran, if it was not for the Quran, Arabic would have been changed just like Latin. Where is Latin? Who speaks Latin now? Huh? Who speaks Latin? Rare. Latin has been changed into or made into what? English, French, Spanish, etc., etc., right? But the Holy Quran preserved the Arabic language and has done a big favor to the Arabs by preserving their language. The Arabs did not have dots before the Muslims added the dots. They did not have harakat. They did not have. So the Quran preserved the Arabic language, and now if you meet an Arab person anywhere in the world, from Morocco to Iraq to Mauritania to anywhere, when they all speak the Arabic of the Quran, they all understand each other. Some of them, when they speak their own dialect, especially Moroccans, Algerians, you will not understand them. They understand, for example, the Syrian dialect, the Egyptian dialect, but we don't understand their dialect, because it has been influenced a lot by the French occupation and colonization. But when they all speak the Arabic, the classical Arabic of the Quran, everyone understands everyone. That's the blessing of the Holy Quran. Now what happened? When they put those dots, guys, that's now the connection from last class, with the connection with last class. When they put the dots, of course, they put it according to the qira'at. So now when you put the dots, those copies, or the copy in which they put the dots, cannot contain all the qira'at. So now what did we have? We started having what? Masahif al-qira'at. What did we have? What did we start having? Masahif al-qira'at. The masahif that are special to the qira'at. This mushaf is according to the qira'ah or the riwayah of Warsh. So the dots will be put according to that riwayah. Right? Some words, if this word is ta'malun in Hafs and ya'malun in Warsh, for example. So now when you put the dots, it cannot contain both narrations. So we started having what? The masahif that are restricted to certain qira'at. Like as-sama'. If the qira'ah, for example, of Hisham, you will not find a hamza at the end of the word as-sama'. If it is sama'i or sama'u, for example. Or sama', you will not find the hamza there. Right? Al-mu'minun. Al-mu'minun, if it is Warsh narration, you will not find the hamza. It will be al-mu'minun. See the point? The harakat, same thing. قُلْ أَعُوذُ قُلْ أَعُوذُ. It will be قُلْ أَعُوذُ. You will be fatha on the lam, for example, and etc. So the rules, now the dots, the harakat, all of these things will be put in the masahif according to the narration that corresponds to that recitation. Again, you can see clearly that still the main reliance is on the oral transmission. And until now, of course, you hold some copies of the Quran sometimes, you see this is according to the narration of Warsh, or the narration of... Even though the difference is sometimes just very few words, but still it has to be preserved and it has to be clear, so that qira'at don't get mixed with one another. Now, when you look at these qira'at and you read, this is in the narration of Hafs from Asim through Shatibiyya way, or from the narration of Warsh from Nafi'. When you read those sentences, what does that mean? We have to understand by now that it never means that Warsh was the only one who's reading in that way. And it never ever means that Hafs was the only one who was reading the Quran in that way and people took from him. Not at all. Right? Because Hafs took from Asim. There is also Shu'bah who took also from Asim. Right? So what happened? How we have those qira'at now, if you like, codified and specialized. When the Uthmani Masahif, it was accepting, or it was possible to accept more than one qira'ah, some people started mixing. Some people started mixing some qira'at, or reading in ways that are not permitted, that are not approved, that have not been transferred and transmitted to us by the Prophet ﷺ. So what did that? Now again, the Muslim scholars, they're all aware. They are aware of what's going on. So what did they do? Some people of bid'ah, people of innovations, they started reading some ayat according to their own innovations. Because this word, it might be read in more than one way. So some of them, they read it this way because it meets their understanding, or it meets their innovation. So what happened? Yeah, lock the upper one also. Lock both of them. One of them it doesn't, but yeah, lock it down.
No, up is locked, yeah.
Okay, if it's still not, still going down,
Yeah.
tape it. Okay, so what happened? The Muslim scholars chose from every, this is now very important, from every city of those main cities in the Muslim world, in the time of Tabi'een and their followers, the scholars of Quran, they chose the best reciters in every city. The best reciters. Of course, let's say in Kufa. All of the people of Kufa, they read the same way, because they have the main mushaf. Okay, and suppose if there's someone like reading in different way, all people will stop him, right? So the scholars, they chose from every city or town the best reciters, upon whom all the city agree and trust their qira'ah, their piety, their akhlaq, they know their history, they know who they read to, who they learned from. People who dedicated themselves to teaching the recitation of the Holy Quran. Like Sayyidina Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, one of the students of Sahaba, one of the Tabi'een. He said, he is the one who narrated to us the hadith, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. The best of you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it to others. He narrated it and he heard it from who? Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali. And he said, this is what made me sit here at this pillar in Al-Kufa Masjid for 40 years, this hadith. This great tabi'i, he taught who? Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami. Who did he teach? He taught Asim. He taught who? Asim. And Asim taught Hafs. Right? This is why we have Hafs and Asim. Hafs and Asim. So you see, it's very close. Those reciters after whom those qira'at have been known, They're very close to the Prophet ﷺ's time. So from that early time, we had that specialization in the qira'at. It's not like someone who came like 100 years ago. It's someone who lived 1200 years ago, approximately. So now all people know Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami. And all people know he learned from Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina... And all people know his students. Now if you go ask in Raleigh or anywhere, where did Isa learn? This person is leading Taraweeh and Raleigh. They know, he learned from Abdullah, for example. Right? They know. Right? Even though now, like, there are huge distances among people. Of course, because of people talk. But there, in that time, imagine, the city, everyone knows everyone in that city. Right? This is why when they used to get married, just someone will go to the family and he'll take his wife and just take her home. Right? Not like now, because everyone knew everyone. Right? You're surprised? Yeah, he goes and he tells, okay, yalla, take her and go. Right? Because everyone knows everyone. He either approves it or he doesn't. But now, of course, people, sometimes they don't know their neighbors. And this is why it's not good. You have to ask very well. If you want to get married, you have to ask very well about the girl, and the girl has to ask very well about the boy, of course. And her parents, they have to ask her siblings. So now it's a necessity that before you approve, you have to ask about the person, to go and see what he does, who are his friends, where he works, etc. You know his history, etc. There, it's completely different. Everyone knows everyone. So everyone knows who is this Hafs, and who is Shu'ba, and who is Warsh, and who is Qalun, and who is Qunbul, and who is Ruwais, and who is this, and who is that. They know them very well. So what did the great Muslim scholars do? They chose the best Qurra in every city or town. And they recorded, again, their qira'ah. And this is why these qira'at started to being named after them. But all of their role is what? What is their role? They only transmitted those qira'at from their sheikhs. Well, why it has been named after them? Because they dedicated all of their lives to teach that way that they received from their teachers. So it has now been named after them. So the riwayah of Hafs and the riwayah of Shu'ba, etc., etc. Is that clear, guys? Radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. So those people who are trustworthy, who are the best of the best of the Qurra, the best of the reciters, in their knowledge, in their piety, in their taqwa, in their dedication. This is very important. They dedicated themselves to teaching, learning and teaching. There's subhanAllah, if you read about the lives of those Qurra, you'll be amazed. What's his name? Qalun, I think Qalun read to Nafi. He read to him like 40 khatmat. He read to him like 40 khatmat or so many years. Then Nafi told him, Nafi is the Qari of Medina. Then he told him, Khalas, go teach. So the point is, they were amazing people. They read so many times and they learned so many times. And they were very pious. And they dedicated all of their lives for this, learning and teaching. Alhamdulillah, now for you, most of you are already teaching even before you got certified. Alhamdulillah. You're being trained, but you're already better than so many people who are even they have ijazat. Why? Because unfortunately the ijazah process has been distorted. Some people are giving it without the right process. And that is a big amana, a big responsibility that Allah will bring them to account for it. So those Qurra, we have, of course, the qira'ah of Hafs cannot violate the Kufi Mus'haf. This is another thing you have to keep in your mind. that the people of Kufa, they have their mushaf now, right? No one can read now a word that cannot be accommodated or cannot comply with their mushaf. Same thing, the people of Sham, you will not find someone reading qira'ah that doesn't comply with the mushaf of Sham. Unless, for example, he learned in Kufa and he moved to Sham, he will continue teaching his qira'ah. This is why then you will have this mixing. But in the early time, this is why now in Syria you have someone who's reading Warsh, you have someone, of course the dominant is Hafs, but you have some people who know the other qira'at. You understand? So then it got mixed, but everyone is teaching the way he learned. And everyone is reading according to the narration that complies with the certain mushaf. So Imam Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid came and he chose 7 Qurra. The 7 Qurra that we know them, that Imam Shatibi collected their qira'at. And many scholars, they say, may Allah forgive Imam Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid, he made a mistake. Why? Because he chose only 7 Qurra, 7 reciters. So people later on, people who don't have enough knowledge, they thought that the 7 qira'at are the 7 ahruf. So we have this mix until now. Some people, when they hear 7 ahruf, they think it's the 7 qira'at. So the scholars, they say, may Allah forgive Imam Abu Bakr al-Mujahid, he should not have chosen 7. If he chose 6 or 8, it would have been better, because now people mixing, they're thinking the 7 qira'at are the 7 ahruf and the 7 ahruf are the 7 qira'at, which is definitely not the case. But he is the first one who collected and combined the qira'at of 7 qurra, and Muslims agreed on them, and all Muslims approved them. Those great qurra, who are they? Of course, he chose 1 qari and chose 2 narrators and 2 students of that qari. He chose 1 qari and he chose what? He chose how many narrators for every qari? 2. And this is why you have to understand 2 things. You have to learn this. This is like ABC. Okay, ABC it should be for you. We have the qira'ah and we have the riwayah. We have what? The qira'ah and we have the riwayah. What's the difference? The qira'ah is one of those main qira'at. It has its rules, it has its principles and foundations and usul that are applied throughout the Quran. Then this qira'ah, like Asim, it has 2 riwayat, 2 riwayat, narrations, transferred or transmitted by 2 ruwat, narrators. The riwayat have the same foundations of the qira'ah, but they have some little differences, like a couple of words. Okay? Few words and few differences, because they are from the same qira'ah. But when you look at qira'ah and another qira'ah, they have, most of the foundations are different. Do you understand? For example, the qira'ah of Asim, he doesn't make tasheel for the hamza in the vast majority of the words, right? Asim, you have tasheel in the whole Quran. How many words have tasheel in Hafs, guys? How many words? The one that you have to do is 1, a'jami, right? And the ones that could be read with tasheel are how many? Al-an and Allah. How many? 2, right? And al-dhakar, 3. So from the foundations of Asim, that he doesn't make tasheel for the hamza. But if you look at some other qurra, like Ibn Amir, especially when you have 2 hamzat, anzartahum, or Ibn, so some of his narrators, they have tasheel almost all of the time. So this distinguishes this qira'ah from this qira'ah. Now the qira'ah of Asim have 2 riwayat. Okay? In those 2 riwayat, you will find the same foundations, the same general rules, but you will have some little differences. Did you get it? Some little differences. Okay? For example, Hafs, he reads Maliki. Shu'bah, he reads Maliki, as I remember. Or if he reads it the same, I mean the differences are few. Okay? So that's what distinguishes what the qira'ah from what? From the riwayah. Is that clear? Clear? Any questions so far? Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So what are or who were those great Qurra that Muslims agreed upon and that Muslims continued narrating their qira'at, which were chosen because they were the best who narrated those qira'at. If you learn qira'at, there's an order that you have to follow in your qira'ah when you do the qira'at. Imam al-Shatibi and Imam Ibn al-Jazari, may Allah bless them and raise their levels, they put them in a certain order so that the students, they follow that order so that they don't mix the qira'at. So they start with Al-Madinah Munawwara, the illuminated city of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they chose from Al-Madinah who? Who did they choose? Nafi'. Radiyallahu anhu wa Nafi'. So they chose, so when you read the qira'at first, you have to start with the qari or the narrators of Al-Madinah. So Nafi', and who did he have? Who are the two most famous students and narrators of Nafi'? Warsh and Qalun, and they start with Qalun first. So Qalun and Warsh. Qalun and Warsh. This is why they say Warsh an Nafi'. Means Warsh who took from Nafi'. Got it? So they start with who? Al-Madinah. Nafi' al-Madani. They say Nafi' al-Madani from Medina, Madani. Nafi' al-Madani. Who are his two main narrators? Warsh, Qalun and Warsh. Then they came to Makkah al-Mukarram. In Makkah, who do we have? Everyone knows? Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir al-Makki. Ibn Kathir al-Makki. And who does he have? He has, again, two narrators. Al-Bazzi and Qunbul. Al-Bazzi and Qunbul. Then they came to Al-Basra. They came to Al-Basra. Who do we have in Al-Basra? Abu Amr al-Basri. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. And he has two narrators, Ad-Duri and As-Susi. Ad-Duri and Susi. Then they came to Sham, and we have Ibn Amir al-Shami. Ibn Amir al-Shami, for example, he learned from Al-Mughira ibn Abi Shihab, is the person who Sayyidina Uthman sent to Sham with the Shami Mus'haf. It's very close. And by the way, Ibn Amir al-Shami, by the way, he was born in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he didn't meet him. Ibn Amir al-Shami, Allah bless me to read Ibn Amir al-Shami and Asim. Ibn Amir al-Shami was born in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but couldn't meet him. He was very young and he did not meet him. Who did he learn from? Al-Mughira ibn Abi Shihab. This is the person that Sayyidina Uthman sent with the Shami Mus'haf. So you see the sanad is very strong. The asanid is very strong. Those people, they're not like people who came like 400, 500 years later. No. So Ibn Amir al-Shami, he has Hisham and Ibn Dhakwan. Hisham and Ibn Dhakwan. Hisham and Ibn Dhakwan. Then we have our friend, our Sheikh Hafs or Asim. Asim al-Kufi. Asim al-Kufi. Asim al-Kufi, who are his two main narrators? Hafs and Shu'ab. So they say Hafs from Asim. Hafs who took from Asim. Right? So that is al-Kufi. Then Hamza al-Zayyad. Hamza, the famous Kufi Qari, he has Khalaf and Khallad. Khalaf and Khallad. And who is the seventh? Al-Kisai, also Kufi. And he has Duri and Abu al-Harith. He has Duri and Abu al-Harith. Okay? These are the seven Qurra that the scholars agreed upon. Then we have, and then Imam al-Shatibi, he wrote a poem that collected their qira'at. And his poem is called what? Matan حرز الأماني ووجه التهاني. الشاطبية. الشاطبية, in الشاطبية he collected those 7 قراءات with their 14 narrations, and he wrote every single difference. And first in his Shatibiyya, about 200 verses, he laid the foundations for every qira'ah. Then in the rest of the verses, about 1,000 verses of poetry, guys. And it's an amazing poem. I gave you one of the examples, if you remember, about them one day. In those verses, what did he do? About 200 verses, and alhamdulillah, I studied those, the introduction, those 200 verses, approximately all of them. He laid the foundations of the qira'at. Then he starts telling you the differences in the words in every qira'at. And this is why we say the way we are reading is what? Hafs an Asim an tariq al-Shatibiyya. Hafs, who took from Asim through the Shatibiyya way. Understand? Imam Shatibi, he does not just like collect and see what those people read. He himself is the one of the main reciters who learned those qira'at himself. It's not like he got them from the books or no, he read them himself. All of those qira'at, he read them through so many shaykhs. Then Imam Ibn Aljazariyya radiyallahu anhu, he came and he found 3 more Qurra whose qira'at meet the conditions of the correct qira'ah that we mentioned last class. And he wrote a poem again about 300 verses, الدرة المضية في القراءات الثلاث المرضية. The illuminating pearl in the 3 acceptable qira'at. So he added 3 more Qurra. Who are they? He added another qari for Al-Madinah, Abu Ja'far al-Madani. And his 2 Qurra are who? Ibn Wardan and Ibn Jammaz. And he added 1 more for Al-Basra, Ya'qub Ibn Ishaq al-Hadrami. And his 2 narrators are Rawh and Ruwais. And he added 1 more qari for Al-Kufa, and it was Khalaf. The same one who learned from Hamza, he has his own qira'ah also, who learned it from other Qurra. So they say Khalaf al-Ashir. They call him not Khalaf al-Ashir, Khalaf the 10th, because he comes number 10. And he has 2 narrators also who spread his qira'ah, Ishaq and Idris. So these are the 10 qira'at. So now they say, for example, this person, he's certified in the 10 qira'at through Shatibiyya and Durra. What does that mean? It means the 7 qira'at through Shatibiyya way, and the 3 through Durra. And they call these 10 qira'at, which are through Shatibiyya and Durra, what do they call them? The Al-Ashr Al-Sughra, the minor 10. What do they call them? Al-Ashr Al-Sughra, the minor 10. Imam Ibn Al-Jazari, radiyallahu anhu, the greatest ever Muslim reciter and scholar of the Quran, ever, besides Sahaba. He got those 10 Qurra, he got for them some more ways that he read to his sheikhs. And not only that, he got about 1,000 chains for those Qurra back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he made them in another poem which is called Tayyibatun Nashr في القراءات العشر. And he explained it in An-Nashr, the absolutely greatest book in qira'at ever. An-Nashr في القراءات العشر. So he got the same Qurra, but some words, some ways, a little bit different. And those 10 qira'at that we read through Tayyibatun Nashr, they are called Al-Qira'at Al-Ashr, Al-Kubra, the major 10, because they have a great, more chain and more ways of recitation. Did you get that? So now when you read in any book or you heard someone he's certified in Al-Ashr Al-Sughra and Al-Ashr Al-Kubra. You understand what that means, right? And we mentioned there are 4 other qira'at that are considered shadh, abnormal or unacceptable. and those are not considered Quran. Any questions so far? Is that clear? This is how we have those qira'at, and until now, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings, from those times until now, the Muslims learn these qira'at and transfer them and certify every generation with them so that they are preserved and they are protected. I'll give you an example about Shatibiyya and Tayyibah. Hafs, for example, in the Shatibiyya way that most Muslims read, when it comes to Mad al-Munfasil, he does it how many harakat? 4 or 5. In the Tayyibah way, Hafs has so many ways. One of them, he shortens al-Mad al-Munfasil, he makes it 2 harakat. And people who don't have an idea, if you learn, you will know that these differences have no change and no effect on the meaning at all in their vast majority. For example, in this example about Mad, Hafs through Shatibiyya, he says, Ya ayyuha, Ya ayyuha. In that way, which is called Qasr al-Munfasil, shortening the Munfasil in Tayyibah, he says, Ya ayyuha, Ya ayyuha. So just elongating this letter, Ya, just making it short. That's another way that they received from their teachers, from their teachers, from their teachers, back from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is that clear? Not a single person can bring a single letter or a single way from his own mind. Now, if you're reading to me, you're learning Shatibiyya way, right? If you say Ya ayyuha, do I allow you? I never allow you. You have to repeat and make the mad, right? Because I did not get it this way. And when I wanted to recite in Taraweeh with the short way, and that's what every person should do, especially if you're reading long pages, so that you make it easy for people. I asked 2 teachers, 2 of the sheikhs, they are certified in qira'at. I already know them. Those little differences. Hafs through Tayyibah, in that shortening the Munfasil, is different in the whole Quran about 10 words only. About 10 words. Even though I know them and I read them in the book and they are known and I know how to say them, still I asked 2 sheikhs and to verify with them before I read. So this is an example of the qira'at and how we got the qira'at and what al-ashr al-sughra mean and what al-ashr al-kubra mean. So as you can see, reciting the Quran is, as the scholars they say, ibadah wa kayfiyatuha tawqifiyya. Reciting the Quran is an act of worship, and the way of reciting the Quran, Ya Ahmad, they call it tawqifiyya. What does that mean? Remember and write down these words. Tawqifiyya, opposite of ijtihadiyya. Tawqifiyya, opposite of ijtihadiyya. Tawqifiyya means from Allah, from the revelation. There's no room for ijtihad in it. There's no room for opinions in it. You cannot come and say, in this way, in this word we make ikhfa, and in that word it has similar rules, so let's apply also ikhfa here. No. You cannot do that. You have to read it as the certified scholars read it. And this is where some little tiny ways of reading some words now came to the public, because of some sheikhs. They started to make some analogy in the way of reading, and this is why the true scholars, they reject those ways, because qira'atul Quran, reciting the Quran, is an act of worship that is completely that depends completely on the oral transmission, and no room for opinions in it. Now there is a room for opinion in what? In explaining that way. You see some sheikhs, they do pictures, they get models, they explain to you. They, as I did, I never heard or read any person who made the ikhfa in 3 groups, for example, who made the ikhfa letters in 3 groups and called it. I call this way you do touch, then press. And with these letters you do bring it close, then you touch. And this way you do bring it close, then closer. You will never find it in any book or heard by any sheikh. Maybe after I die people start spreading it, or now some people they're already spreading it. But the point is, I did not change anything. I only tried to make it easy and showed people that these letters we make ikhfa for them in this way. And let's call it whatever you want to call it, call it. You call it qalb or you call it iqlab, the result is the same. Okay? You call it touch then press, or you call it whatever, same thing. So the point is, there is no, or touch and win. There is no room for ijtihad in the way of reading, but in explaining the way, okay, it's open. So قراءة القرآن عبادة، والأصل في العبادة من الناحية الأدائية أنها توقيفية. عبادات, the acts of worship, when there's a prescribed act of worship that you have to perform in a certain way, the general rule in Islam is that you should not change that way. You should do it as it has been done and transferred to us by the Prophet ﷺ. So if we pray like this, and the Prophet ﷺ raises, we got to learn that you pray like this. You cannot come and someone says, oh, it's the same, let's just do like this when we pray. That doesn't work. That will be the innovation that is rejected. So every ibadah that is prescribed, you understand? Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, as an authentic hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad, he said, when some of the companions were arguing, he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commands you to recite the Quran as you were taught, as you have been taught. Everyone, you read as you, the teacher, taught you. Now, unfortunately, because some people now, they're not skillful enough, they're not certified, they're not licensed, and some of them don't fear Allah, some of them they just give ijazah to anybody without that body being qualified. We started even seeing some people who are certified but they have some mistakes. This is why now it's not enough to accept just any person who says, oh, I'm certified and I have an ijazah, and you just take his reading. No, his reading must comply with the written and the ancient recorded readings that the Qurra preserved. So just as they preserved the way the Quran was written, they also preserved and explained the tajweed rules. And these are now the coming lines of this section, the section of tajweed. They preserved and they wrote down the rules of reading, how you're reading, how you're applying ikhfa, how you're applying qalb, how you're applying this. So they preserved the oral transmission itself, it has been preserved in the books. So now for any person who comes and claims, oh Allah, I read this way to my sheikh, we say, okay, let's see. We believe you, but let's see. Does this reading comply with the way that the scholars who are also certified and greater than you and greater than your sheikh, did they record this way in their books? You will not find a single tajweed ancient scholar who said in ikhfa shafawi you leave a gap, or in applying qalb you leave a gap. You will never find. And you will find the opposite. So if 10 sheikhs come now and say, Wallah, I read to my sheikh this way, we say, we believe you, and maybe you and your sheikh, you made an analogy by yourself, and we don't accept this qira'ah. Did you get it? Clear. We can't say, it's okay, 2 opinions. No. This is not 2 opinions. An opinion has to be acceptable when you truly have an ijazah, and this ijazah or this way complies with the greater ijazat, with the consensus of the ijazat that is preserved in the books. Did you get that? Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, and I want you to remember this sentence, I'm going to ask you about it, and it has to be inscribed in your brain. Here. Al-qira'atu or qira'atul Qur'ani sunnatun muttaba'ah. The recitation of the Quran is a sunnah that must be followed. It's sunnah muttaba'ah. You have to read as it has been transmitted to us. يَأْخُذُهَا الْآخِرُ عَنِ الْأَوَّلِ. The later, take it from the, what's opposite of the latter?
Former.
The former. The latter takes it from the former. And this is Imam Ibn Mujahid in his book As-Sab'ah. He narrated it. He narrated this from Sayyidina Umar. This sentence you have to learn it just like your name, in Arabic and in English. قراءة القرآن سنة متبعة يأخذها الآخر عن الأول. The latter takes it from the former. Sayyidina Zayd bin Thabit said something similar. He said, القراءة سنة من السنن. It's one of the sunan. So read the Quran as you have been taught. Salaf and Khalaf, all predecessors and modern Quran scholars, they agree about this idea. Al-qira'atu sunnatu muttaba'. Sayyidina Malik bin Anas radiallahu anhu, the great faqih, he said, Al-qira'a is sunnah that has to be taken from the mouths of men. He doesn't mean only men and women. Okay? But because they're the majority. So, one more time, Sayyidina Malik, what did he say? These are important points that you have to include them and important statements. Al-qira'atu sunnatun muttaba'a. Right? What does Imam Malik say? Sunnatun tu'khadu min afwah rijal. Qira'ah is sunnah that has to be taken from the mouths of people. Right? So I'll finish with some more words about this so that you know how the qira'at, that no one can change a single letter in the qira'at. Not even a mad. Not even elongating a letter. That even doesn't change the meaning in any way. No one can change it. Right? Abu Amr ibn al-Ala al-Hadrami al-Basri radiyallahu anhu, one of the 10 Qurra, what does he say? لولا أن ليس لي أن أقرئ إلا بما قرئ لقرأت حرف كذا وحرف كذا. Listen what he's saying. Imam Abu Amr ibn al-Ala, he's saying, I know many ways that this certain ayat can be read with. But because I should not teach or read except the same ways that I learned and I received, I don't read in those ways. Did you get it? He's saying, I know this word can be read in many ways. Ya Sheikh, right? Can be read in many ways. But because I should not read or teach except the way I received from the sheikhs, the scholars, I don't read in those ways and those awjuh. That was their piety and their trustworthiness and their wara'. You know, their wara', their fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their avoiding any doubts. Imam al-Bayhaqi, the famous muhaddith, what does he say? It's forbidden to read in a different way than the a'imma masahif. The a'imma masahif that Sayyidina Uthman said. And to read in a different way than the common qira'at that have been accepted by the Muslims. Even if some qira'at are valid in the language, in the Arabic language. Again, even if there are some verbs or some words in Arabic, it's correct to read them in a certain way. He's saying, this is common sense. I'm telling you, they mention this literally. This is common sense. But still, they mention it for emphasis that even if there is a qira'ah a word that can be read in different qira'at, in a different way in the Arabic language, you cannot do that unless it is of the accepted qira'at and unless it conforms to that or complies with the leading masahif, al-masahif al-a'imma. And we mentioned this last class in the 3 conditions of the acceptable qira'ah. Imam al-Nawawi radiyallahu anhu, he said, حروف القراءة سنة متبعة, means it's a way that cannot be changed. الشاطبي radiyallahu anhu, he says, وما لقياس في القراءة مدخل. There's no analogy in the qira'at. You cannot make an analogy. Allah is saying, ikhfa means this. In ikhfa, listen what they did in ikhfa shafawi, guys. Listen what that sheikh, may Allah have mercy on him and forgive him, did. The one who invented the ikhfa shafawi issue. He's the sheikh of Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. What did he say? In ikhfa we say antum. We don't pronounce the noon. And ikhfa shafawi, we have to do the same. So we say rabbuhum bihim. We do the same thing. He made what? An analogy. But it's invalid. Imam Shafi said, there is no room for analogy in the way the Quran is being read. Did you get it? Zarkashi, one of the great scholars who wrote on the science of the Quran, what does he say? Consensus has been made that the qira'at of these scholars are correct and that reading is sunnatun muttaba'a. It's a sunnah that has to be followed. And there is no room for opinions in it. لا مجال للاجتهاد فيها. So none of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, none of them was permitted just to read in the way of his own tribe. No, all of them, they got it from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they were not allowed to read just as they wish. And even though some of them they read in certain dialects, and the proof is what Sayyidina, you know the stories we mentioned, Sayyidina Umar and Sayyidina Hisham and Sayyidina Ubay, etc., etc. And this is why the qira'ah is sunnah muttaba'a, that we have to receive from the scholars who are licensed and whose qira'at comply with the written record of the certified ancient Qurra. And this is the way the Quran has been preserved and has been written, and this is the way inshallah it will continue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to be included in those chains and to be of the people who deserve to be there in those chains and to continue this greatest legacy of preserving the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who listen to the speech and follow his best. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين والحمد لله رب العالمين.